broadcast for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This is the Firearms Radio Network. The bandwidth for this episode of Gun Guy Radio is sponsored by Patriot Patch Company. PatriotPatch.co.
Welcome to episode 217 of Gun Guy Radio. This is a podcast that shines a positive light on the firearms lifestyle. I'm your host, Jake Challen. This is your weekly dose of positive firearms talk without the politics. And we have Zach Carlson of Lone Wolf joining us. Hey, Zach.
Hello, how's it going?
Going good. So, hey, Zach, did you do anything in guns this week?
I'm just continuing. This is episode 25 of my 1022 saga. So I'm just getting more and more of these guns in for testing. I think I'm up to 6 right now. I got to double check how many receivers I've got, but I ended up with a bunch of extra parts. So I was like, well, I might as well order receivers to finish them off into guns. So I'm doing that. But the most frustrating part of the week was I built these Volquartsen guns up, basically. So they've got these Volquartsen carbon fiber barrels in them. Right. And I don't know if you've seen a 1022. You know how the barrel slides into the receiver, then there's a V-block that holds it back? Mm-hmm. Well, that tenon in there where the chamber goes into the receiver, on most of these match fit barrels, or match grade, whatever you want to call them, they're a little bit oversized on that shank. So you don't slip fit them like a factory barrel. So you have to heat up the receiver with a heat gun, and then it expands the aluminum, and then you can stick the barrel in there and tap it in a little bit if you have to. And yeah, so it's really tight. So I got that all mounted and had this whole gun built up, and I went to go put the Volquartsen Picatinny rail scope mount on it. And on a 1022, there's 4 little screws. I think there's 648 thread screws going into an aluminum receiver. And I had this. You see where I'm going with this? So this is the receiver that I had since I was 16 years old. So it's been around a while. So somewhere from age 16 to age 30 something, I mounted the previous scope mount, and I must have stripped out this third screw. And I went to go mount this new one, and only 3 of the screws tightened up. So I was like, you got to be kidding me. So I took it all apart, and I brought it to the office, and I was like, hey, guys, what can you do here?
That's what Loctite is for, right?
Well, I think that's what happened on the last go-around, because the screws that I took out had like a hard shell around the threads of blue Loctite. So I must have done that. That's probably what got me in this whole mess to begin with. So these were pre-torque wrench days. You know, I didn't own a torque wrench back in them days. So I had to take the barrel off yet again. So I had to heat the whole thing up and get the receiver back off the barrel. And so I could get it drilled out. I had to drill the holes out to the 832 screws instead of 648s. So they're bigger.
Big, yeah.
It's the next size up. So then, of course, those screws don't fit through the Picatinny base. So I had to have those milled. And then, of course, this is a socket cap screw. So then the little circle cutout where the head fits into the Picatinny section had to also be milled larger. And then, of course, a standard 632 screw or 832 screw that I had at the office, the head was too big. So we had to chuck up the screws in the lathe and take off like 20 thou on the heads. And then, of course, those screws are super long. So I had to thread them through, mark them, cut them all down. So now I have super robust scope mounting for this. So I'm glad I did it. I mean, it's better than just leaving one screw, not in there.
Is it really?
Well, I don't know why these screws are so tiny on these scope mounts. I mean, the little 648 screws are, minuscule. They're like toothpicks. Yeah. And so I have a nice screw in there now, and I feel like it'll support the weight of the scope, and I feel good about it. But man, it was such a pain in the butt to get to that point. And I was a little disappointed. I like that Volquartsen rail. Everything I've gotten from Volquartsen has been great so far, except the screws on that factory rail are slotted screws. And I just can't believe that everything is so high quality. Then you use like a little flathead screwdriver for it. And I was like, that's crappy. So I'm glad I went to a regular Allen, wrench style socket cap, but it's been a long journey to get there. So now I got to put it all back together today. I just finished that, and I'm going to try to shoot them tomorrow. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, I've embraced the gambler 500 lifestyle as far as automotive goes, but also I can see that spreading into the gun world because I would just Loctite that sucker and call it good enough. And I'd have a whole afternoon that you wasted.
Well, the problem is, though, I like to change things so often that if I do that step, I will effectively screw my future self.
You can buy Loctite by the gallon, right?
Yeah. Well, that's okay for present Zach, but future Zach will hate past Zach when he gets to that point.
Oh, we don't have to worry about future Zach right now.
Do you want to hear the whole irony of this whole 1022 saga?
Sure.
After I got all these guns built, my most favorite gun of all 6 of these guns is the original one I started with. The little 4.5-inch barrel with the little standard chassis is so handy and light and fun that I'm like, oh, this is definitely the best of the whole group. So everything else is second fiddle. But if I would have just stopped where I started, I would have been done already.
Yeah. No, I'm jealous. It's got to be a lot of fun playing around with that many 1022s.
Yeah, it's fun until you start looking at your credit card bill and you're like, oh, crap. I showed a picture to a guy, and he's like, hey, that's a couple grand worth of 1022s, isn't it? It's like, well, yeah, I may have gone overboard.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
In classic Zach fashion.
In classic, yeah. That's what I thought. I was like, is this worth it? Like, I only asked that question, 99% of the way
late.
through. Yep, exactly. So I'm here now. I'm living it now. So
yeah,
I'll make do.
Yeah, once I move, I'll break out the 1022 for sure. So I guess what I do in guns this week, not much, except I did go up to South Dakota last week and scout out farms and found a place, put an offer down on a place, and it was accepted, and I can shoot on my own land, which is great. It's got an awesome shop for the businesses and maybe even set up a podcast studio. So I'm excited about that. I guess that's somewhat gun related.
Yeah, what is the internet situation in that area?
Well, to be determined.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the last episode of Gun Guy Radio.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you want to keep subscribing, you can. What they used to do like cassettes by mail or something.
Yeah,
so,
that's how audiobooks used to be too.
Yeah, there you go. You can subscribe to Gun Guy Radio via 8-track by mail.
Nostalgia is kind of in now, so maybe we could do like a throwback novelty podcast that you just have to actually get physical copies.
Yeah, 2 months later.
It's either that or you're going to have like recording from the Starbucks in Sioux Falls or something. You're going to have to like go to the big city and record.
Right. Well, we'll see. I mean, I had decent cell phone signal, so worst case I could do a hotspot, and maybe I'll do satellite or. I mean, when I looked at the place, they had some kind of high speed there, but I forgot to look to see what like interface it was on the actual house, whether it was beamed over from another farm or grain bin or something, or what it was. So I'll figure it out.
That'll be exciting.
I mean, my priority was freedom, so I was a little sidetracked. I'm like, screw the internet. Nobody needs the internet.
So you got house fever is what you're saying.
I got wide open space fever, yeah.
Well, you could just be homeless and everything's wide open spaces then.
Well, not really. Not if you're homeless in like L.A. But yeah, I'm excited. We're going to be out there next month. We move in and stuff to undisclosed location. And I'll have to figure out all the mail situation and figure out today I was getting insurance quotes and stuff. And then like with insurance, it was like, do they cover guns or not? And so that was interesting. And
what, homeowners insurance or your auto insurance?
Homeowners insurance.
Oh, yeah, they should cover your guns. I don't see why they wouldn't. I know on mine I have a separate rider that covers guns in excess of normal values.
Yeah, well, the normal value on this one, I'm working with 2 different independent agents to shop a bunch of different, companies and everything. And this one, the standard for guns was like $2,500. I'm like, oh, it's kind of sad. I don't need to up that at this time, but I will someday.
A boy can dream, right?
Yeah. Right?
Well, now all your stressful stuff starts for your whole home. The house fever will be starting to wear off, and then hopefully no house regret comes through.
Well, so we're doing the move in stages. I'm loading each of the kids up with backpacks, and they're hitchhiking back and forth, so I don't have to rent a moving truck. So
it'd be like Trail of Tears, like an education lesson.
Right. Oh, that's awful. Moving on. So, Patriot Patch Company helps make this terrible episode possible. You can subscribe to the Patch of the Month Club over at patriotpatch.co, where you get a unique patch every month. It's exclusive to the Patch of the Month Club, and you can only get it that month of that year. Zach, did you get your April Patch of the Month in?
I did, of course. And you know who the biggest fan of the Patch of the Month Club is my 6-year-old son. He loves opening that package. He is super excited every time we get the envelope, and he loves the stickers, and he likes to look at them and comment on them and tell me exactly what I'm seeing with my own eyes.
That's awesome. And I hear that a lot. I hear kids that steal them and stuff and, put them up on their own little patch wall and whatnot.
Was that why you started using the stickers too?
Just added value. And for people that don't have necessarily a patch wall, because like you put them in your safe, right, or something.
Yeah, I put the patches on my safe, the carpeted walls there, then I use the stickers on my my ammo cans.
Right. So like some people they'll stick the stickers like on their coffee tumblers if it's one they really like, or they'll stick it somewhere else where they might see it more often than the patch. So that was part of the thought process with that. But yeah, so cool. Check it out, Patch the Month Club at patriotpatch.co. Main topic this week, we're talking about moving with guns and setting up a gun room. So moving with guns, the first step is check your state and local laws. And I put some links in the show notes, and I couldn't find like really great links on this topic. I searched a couple different ways, and someone needs to write some better articles on this, but there's like a moving company that kind of wrote a little blurb on how to move with guns, and then there's a guide to interstate transportation that the NRA ILA put out, and then I think these might all be blog posts in these state-specific gun groups, but it's kind of the big 3: moving to California with firearms, moving to Illinois with firearms, and moving to New York with firearms. And I should probably put like New Jersey in there too, because they're like, you step over the state line in New Jersey, you're in jail.
Yeah, it's like this is like the wrong direction. Shouldn't all these articles be moving from California, from Illinois?
Well, that's probably why there's not a lot of info on it, because no one's actually moving to these states that owns a firearm.
It's like addressing one person. Hey, Bill. Okay, just talk to your lawyer.
Right.
Interesting.
So, so Zach, you told some of your story about moving in your homemade trailer and stuff, which was great. But did you pack up your guns in a specific way, or ammo? Like, did you?
Yeah, thankfully I didn't have a ton of them at that time. I think I sold a lot before I left, if I remember right. But essentially I used to have a 96 Ford Explorer, so I just folded the rear seats down, and I was only me going, so I didn't have to have a ton of room for people or anything. But if I remember right, I think I just put every rifle in a regular case, regular rifle case.
Yeah.
And then I boxed up the pistols in a case, and then I I remember laying down like a gun locker style one, just laying it down like a coffin in the back of the truck,
Right.
and then just kind of packing stuff inside the gun case,
Right.
just to take up the room. I remember trying to put all the ammo cans. I'm almost positive it was like over the axle on the trailer, which would make sense. Just kind of center the weight up, and then
Sure.
yeah, just kind of be careful. Don't lock them, or don't put all the weight in one spot, but just kind of spread the load. And I think I put a lot of clothes over the guns, so they were kind of hidden, so you wouldn't see them. But yeah, it's that's one of the reasons I only slept in the rest areas, and I didn't stay anywhere overnight. I wanted to get there and done, so I was a little nervous about all the guns in there. But the biggest worry is just getting pulled over, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, you had all those bags of flour in the back, those clear bags of flour.
Yeah.
And, that was, that, I mean, it showed you like to bake and stuff, so.
Yeah, no sugar, just all flour.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I would be nervous about getting pulled over, I guess, is my only thing. Because when I lived in Utah and I would go to Arizona and stuff every so often, and I would drive, and I remember getting pulled over a few times, and the cops were not very pleasant at that point. They would literally pull the guns out of my trunk, ask them where I bought them, all these like intrusive questions. And I was like, well, is this normal? Like, it didn't seem normal to me, but whatever.
Well, they don't mess around in Utah. Did you see that shootout with the police and that guy?
No.
Yeah, you should look it up. It was in like downtown, or some forget which city it was, but this guy, he was going around like shooting up gas stations or something. Or anyways, the video is of them pinning him in against this business, and like they all get out and just like rain down fire on this dude, and just
wow.
He dead. and like cops are like using civilian vehicles for cover and stuff, and it's pretty intense.
Wow, that's crazy.
Did you at that time really check local laws, or you just figured if you put, generally speaking, in a lot of states, if you separate the ammo from the guns and they're in some kind of quote unquote case, that can be like a paper bag for some states, you're good to go.
Yeah, I don't remember consciously checking anything, but I did separate the ammo. The ammo is all in their own cans, and nothing was loaded. I was always freaked out because we didn't have concealed carry permits back then,
right,
in Illinois, and that was a pipe dream at best at that point. I'm really shocked that you even have it now, quite honestly.
Yeah,
so it was no big deal to me. I just separated everything.
Yeah, so that's one thing that makes me a little more comfortable with this, is I do have a Illinois concealed carry permit. I also have a Florida permit. So, I feel like, if a cop feels the need to question me or what I'm hauling and IDs me, I can always fall back on those, because, you're kind of a certified good guy, or at least you want to think the police view you as that if you've gone to the trouble to get permits in a couple states. But, I checked, I mainly, for myself, checked into Iowa, because that's the only other state besides my home state and new home state that is on the list is Iowa. And Iowa pretty much says that you have to, have them separated, unloaded, securely wrapped, and packaged. I think the way it's written, it's like literally it could be like paper bags wrapped up, just so they're closed up separately. And yeah, so.
Is that next to the flour, or like in the different containers?
Well, I have all these cases of little 1 inch by 1 inch bags. I like to separate my flour out into little bags for personal sized use. And so, yeah, right next to that.
Logic is logic.
But yeah, so I'll be moving out in a U-Haul and stuff. So I got to kind of figure out how to, pack everything in. So I think I had said before that, all my gun stuff was already kind of packed up, but that was kind of a exaggeration. It's more like shoved in this corner that I have to unorganize and reorganize into containers and everything, and get all my reloading supplies packed, pack the powder separately from the primers. and stuff like that. And that brings up a thing too, like moving gunpowder and primers. Like, technically, are you supposed to like have a hazmat placard? I mean,
well, how much you got? You shouldn't have that much, should you?
Well, I don't know. It doesn't matter how much you order. It has to be hazmated coming to you. So
yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. I think you're worried about nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got like I don't know, like 4 pounds of powder or something. Not much.
All you got to do is reload all that stuff before you go, and then you'll have ammo.
Right. No, it's all packed away. That's not happening. Well, I've got all these primers and powders for loads and setups I'll probably never use again, or never was going to use in the first place, because some of that I bought back, when you couldn't buy it, when you couldn't find it. So I stocked up some of it. And then like the ammo I'm packing away, I've got like 380 ammo. I've got like 20 gauge slugs, which I don't even have a 20 gauge. I'm like, what is all this stuff?
Why don't you sell it before you leave?
No, you can't sell gun stuff. Blasphemy.
I beg to differ.
I mean, I will use it at some point, maybe.
That might be a hoarder tendency coming out.
Hey, when the balloon goes up, man.
Yeah. Well, they only sell, I think the biggest U-Haul is like a 26-footer. So how is that going to work?
Yeah, so 26-foot with their biggest trailer you can pull, and I'm going to pack it very intentionally.
Well, their biggest trailer is not that big, though, right? Isn't those little tiny ones?
Yeah, they're not huge. It's I forget what size it is. Well, I think my wife might pull a U-Haul trailer behind the Suburban too, and then I don't know. I mean, if it comes down to it, I gotta make more than one trip. We'll see. Because
then how are you going to get the second car over there?
Well, we've talked about selling it. We've also talked about going out there, or one of us going out there and then renting a car back and then getting the last load with the last vehicle. So I don't know. There's a few ways, few different ways we could do it. So I don't know. Any other thoughts on moving, the actual act of moving with guns and stuff?
Well, the act of moving, if you're getting you shouldn't have an issue with a 26-footer, but if you can absolutely help it, try to get a diesel before you leave. Because I remember when I moved from Illinois to Moab, Utah, I got the smaller, like the F350 style cube truck ones.
I think U-Haul only has gas, don't they? I don't know.
Well, they gave me a F350 with a 460 gas in it, and when I was driving up the mountains in Denver, it just started losing speed, and I was floored. And I think they had newer Super Duty based ones at that time, and I was getting passed by them in the diesel. So I'm pretty sure they have, but double check. But maybe with a 26-footer you'll be fine because there's so bigger. But I remember I was hating life at that point.
Well, the 26-foot is based on an F550, I think, or something like that. But it's all flat pretty much going out there. I mean, it's not like I have to go into the mountains or anything.
Gotcha.
I mean, it was a really good drive going out there last week. Went out mostly 20 and then came back mostly 80. And both ways, most all that road has been redone recently for both routes. So that's good. Some areas had been closed, I think, because of flooding. But, like coming back, you couldn't go all the way down 29 to Omaha because that was still closed from flooding. But, I mean, that should all be dissipated by now.
And how long did it take you?
It takes about 7.5, 8 hours-ish.
Oh, that's good. That's
not
not bad.
But with a truck, I mean, it's going to take like 10.5 or something because you got to drive slower. And, if you go 80, you have to stop at That's something else you have to look into. Like, do you have to stop at weigh stations with this size U-Haul in this state? And it depends on the state. And for Iowa, actually for Iowa and South Dakota, you do.
Really? Even as a non-commercial vehicle, you have to?
Yeah,
crazy.
as a non-commercial, yeah. So I mapped out a route where you could actually avoid all but one. So and I think I can avoid that one too. So we'll see.
I would just claim ignorance.
Right. Just blow past them.
Yeah.
Blow past them with guns and ammo and, flour.
Well, put all the guns and ammo in Jenny's car.
Sorry, honey.
That's called a decoy.
Put it all under the kids' seats.
Yeah. If they get bored, give them a cleaning rag.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, it shouldn't be too bad. I mean, at least that's within a day's drive, no matter how you cut it. So you should be all right.
Yeah. I'm lucky. I'm not like an Indiana resident moving across Illinois. I'm somewhat lucky that I'm moving from Illinois. I feel like where
sure
I'm like know the state laws, and I have a permit and everything, and so it's not I think as stressful as someone having to pass through it.
Is your carry permit valid in South Dakota?
Yep.
Good.
So,
you should have no problems then.
Yeah.
Is it valid in Iowa?
Yep.
Okay, so you're good all the way down, basically.
So it's not valid in like North Dakota, Wyoming, but my Florida permit is valid in those states. That's one reason I got it, because it opened up states that weren't open to Illinois.
Now, one thing you should check is in the state that you're moving to, South Dakota, is there any residency restrictions before you can buy a gun? Like, do you have to live there X amount of months before?
Yeah, there is there is something like that. I don't think it's very long before you get a permit. I don't know about buying a gun, but I'm going to be so busy. I'm not going to be doing any of that right away, anyways. So.
Because I do remember when I moved to Utah, I had to live there for 6 months before I could purchase a handgun.
6 months. Wow.
Yeah, at the time. So this was like early 2000s. So I don't know if it's always been that or always was that way, but at least a pistol at the time. So I had to put it basically on layaway. So I just basically paid for it and let it sit there on layaway payments until I was there for 6 months.
Well, I mean, you weren't the co-host of Gun Guy Radio back then. Now
I couldn't say, do you know who I am? Yeah. It didn't work. Well, I said it, but it just didn't have the gravitas at the time.
Right. So, yeah, we'll keep you updated on how all that goes. I was very intentional about how I packed the powder and the primers just because I'm paranoid. I even put like some packing material around the primers so they wouldn't rattle an extra amount and stuff like that. But you also have to figure those primers rattle to you via UPS too, so they can.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've been in the package delivery game long enough that you know that people just drop kick stuff.
Yeah.
I was literally driving through the town here where the lady was filling up our mailboxes, and I saw her just throw Amazon boxes from her car to the thing before she walked and loaded everything up. I was like, wow, all right. Okay. Blatant, I guess.
Yeah. That's how they train you. So let's talk about, I guess let's wrap up the moving part. Just to really, you want to make sure to check those state and local laws first, especially if you're in the Northeast or California or, any crazy state or passing through any crazy state. Just check that out. Handgunlaw.us has some pretty good info and stuff like that. I did put links into handgunlaw.us for Iowa, South Dakota, and Florida to kind of look at the different permits and stuff, but you can get to your state via those links too.
And I always like USA Carry. I think it's .net. That you can always. It has like an interactive carry map where you can hit the state that you own the permits in, and it'll tell you where you're valid in. Yeah,
that's awesome. And there's some good apps for the phone too. And I haven't looked at a lot of this stuff for a while, not since I got the Florida permit. I got the Florida permit back when NRA show was in Georgia, just so I could carry in Georgia, and then it came the week after the NRA show, so I didn't actually get to carry in Georgia.
Speaking of NRA, I assume this means you're not going to the NRA show, which is just a couple hours from you.
Yeah, it's like only 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours away, and no way I'm going to be able to fit that in between the packing and the business, just prepping the businesses to move and everything. And ain't going to happen this year. But Indy is a good show. I mean, that's not a bad show if you guys haven't been. It's a good one to try to make.
And next year's Nashville, so you can try to make Nashville if you really wanted to.
Nashville was my favorite of all of them. So Nashville is it's a great town to visit, whether or not there's an NRA show. So, yeah, maybe that might be on my radar then.
Yeah, a year to plan.
Yeah. So let's talk about setting up a gun room. And Zach, I wanted to quiz you a little bit on this because you kind of set up a pretty nice setup in your garage, right?
Yeah, I did. I think so, but yeah, it's you got to do it in stages. If you try to do it all at once, I think it's going to be overwhelming.
I mean, you've got nice cabinets, nice counters, and where did you buy some of that stuff at? Some of those fixtures.
You know, all these cabinets I really kind of drooled over for quite a while, and I finally pulled the trigger at Overstock.com of all places. And the reason I bought them from Overstock, because Costco sells them, you can order them online there. There's a lot of places. They're called New Age, New Age. It's like one word, New Age, but in one word. And I bought these cabinets. I've been looking at them for quite a while, but when you went to actually go mock up an order, you know, Costco charges you sales tax. So that kind of killed the deal on a lot of this. And, you know, even though they're free shipping and everything, that sales tax kind of gets you. And Overstock has a lot of new customer promos. So like if your first order, I think it was 10% off, plus they had free shipping, plus they didn't charge sales tax. So it was like it was a whole bunch of yeses in that column. So I just ordered them from there. And they ship them in on these pallets, and liftgate truck brings them in, and you take forever to unpack everything and get it all undone. And one thing I would say about doing it in a garage, you got to be careful or just double check with is I don't know. Does your garage have a floor drain in it, or does it just ramp out?
Where we live at now, it just I think most garages don't have a floor drain, so it just it's kind of slanted, so it slants out to the outside, but
yeah, that's what mine does too. So I'm glad I started in the high spot because it has adjustable feet, and once you bolt all the cabinets together to make one unit spin.
Oh, right, because it does add up to be a pretty big slant when you start putting something long on it. I noticed that with some of the plastic shelves I put in our garage. They got quite a slant going to them.
Yep, because up back here, I think it's a 24-foot wall or something like that. And at the backside, it's the screw-in feet are all the way screwed in. And by the time you get to the garage door, I had to screw them out, plus add 2 hockey pucks. So I put 2 hockey puck thicknesses down there. I think it's probably a 3 or 4 inch slant slope there. So yeah, just those kind of things. It's little things like that you kind of have to figure out. And
right.
It's a bit of an exercise in frustration, but a lot of the stuff I don't even use a lot of the cabinets for the gun stuff, except for I started putting ammo in the drawers. Pistol boxes of ammo fit standing up. So you pull them out and they just are standing all on end, presenting you what they are, so you can separate them easily. And it's nice to just be able to grab a box of ammo and go. And, when you stack them like a traditional shelf, if you want something on the bottom, you either got to just yank it out real bit, or like a magician pulling a tablecloth out, or just unstack them, or it's just kind of harder. So this kind of worked out really good. And these drawers on this specific set of cabinets, the top drawers are just the depth of like a 9mm box of ammo, and then the bottom drawers are deeper, and they fit just like a 50 round or a 20 round box of 6.5 Creedmoor, like the bigger rifle boxes. And so it kind of worked out really good just by happenstance. But I work on the guns a lot. So I have, big Husky toolboxes. And so my center island is built on one of those, Husky tool bench things where it's got a wood top and a bunch of drawers underneath it. And that's really helpful. So when you're working on something on the cabinet, you have quick access to all the tools right below it. What else? You never can have too much storage, and I like everything covered, so that way when the garage door is open, nobody sees that you have a bunch of gun stuff in your garage. You never want to have just prying eyes.
Yeah, that's what I kind of like about your setup is it looks like just a nice garage setup, not necessarily a gun cave like it is.
Yeah, and I don't put gun signs all over or anything like that. I just don't think it's worth the hassle.
No.
But yeah, it's all hidden. I don't have safes laying out or anything. They're all concealed behind wood paneling and everything. So you never know it unless you were looking for it. And then bolt down your safes. For God's sakes, people, bolt down your safes. Like drill the hole in the concrete, put the anchors in there, and bolt them down. That's why people can't easily steal them. Then.
So I see these cabinets and stuff. You can choose either wood or stainless steel countertops. Is that right?
Yeah, most of them do. I like the wood ones for just the fact that stainless steel is so like hollow sounding sometimes or tinny a lot of times. So it's just and then in a dense, it's just kind of weird. But yeah, either one would work fine. But I know my Husky cabinets had wood already, and so that just made sense to match them. But yeah, either one probably would be fine.
Yeah, very cool. And do you do any reloading anymore?
I don't, but I have seriously looked at it again recently. Before, when I was doing it on like a Lee Progressive. It was the Pro 1000 or whatever. What is that? I just had so many. It was so fiddly. That's the only way I could explain it.
Right.
I never feel like I could just sit down and crank on the handle and get a bunch of good ammo out of it. I was constantly flipping primers in it and squishing stuff weird. And I kind of lost the interest in it, especially when I got busy. I didn't really I quote unquote didn't have the time for it kind of thing. So I got rid of all that. And, I've looked at doing it again. If I was going to do it again, I definitely would invest the money into a really good Dillon setup, probably a 1050 Dillon reloader.
Yeah.
And I would just do it that way. But I was really looking at it, and I just did this a couple weeks ago, really crunching the numbers. And on 9mm, I don't know that I could actually save a ton of money. I would be within a few cents a round.
Probably not.
Compared to mine. But then like 5.56, okay, but I don't really shoot 5.56 all that much. It's not that fun. I like to shoot enough to be proficient with it and be confident that if I had to take a shot, I could make it. But like just to plink with 5.56, I just don't. I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me anymore. And like the long range stuff, I would definitely save money on. But then to do the long range stuff, you really got to get into that fiddly style reloading where you're really getting everything precise and really focusing on time and everything. And I don't know if I really enjoy it that much to want to get that deep into it.
Yeah, I want to set my stuff up again. It's been years and years since I reloaded, but I think that kind of my first aspiration to set it back up is to teach the kids how to do it, and because it really teaches them about firearms and how cartridges work and everything, and it's kind of an all-encompassing firearms education. I kind of view it.
Did you have a progressive loader, or was it a single stage?
I've got a Lee. It's a Lee turret press reloader.
So it's like a single stage. You just rotate the top and go to stage to stage.
Right.
Gotcha.
And it is somewhat fiddly, as you say. So yeah, I can see why you'd want to go with a Dillon to just have a really good setup that works.
And I mean, long term, if I was really into it, the Dillon with those ammo bot, like the little robotic
right.
systems on them, that would be ideal. But I don't know. I don't shoot that much. But, when I do those just to go shoot on the weekend or whatever, you go through 250. You can go to 200 rounds easy on 9mm. And that's, what is it? That's what? That's like $40, right? About $10 a box. If you guess.
I mean, part of it for me is that I end up with all this brass. I'm like, what am I going to do with all this brass? I might as well, sit down and load it some winter and just, have a bunch of ammo then. I don't know. But then, like, some of it, it's like, is it really worth taking all the time to, pistol is really easy, but if it's, a neck cartridge, then you got to take all the time to trim it and resize it and everything, and I don't know.
Yeah, I think you got to have to want to do it. I don't think it's something you should do just because, you really got to want it.
Hopefully one of my kids will really get into it and be like, "Oh, this is the greatest thing ever." I'm like, "Yeah, it is."
Yeah, then you got to teach kids how to pick up brass and grass too, and make that a pastime.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I don't know. So this place I'm buying, it's got almost 2,000 square foot pole barn that is It has a concrete floor. It's insulated. It's heated and cooled. And it's got, in the back of it, it's got kind of a loft area where my idea is below is to enclose it and enclose the top too, so that you have like office upstairs and then like my shipping center and like gun room / reloading room on the bottom, if I can fit all that in. And then I'm thinking that I'll have those heated and cooled separately, so I don't have to heat and cool the whole thing.
Sure. How many square feet would those areas be roughly out of that 2,000 square feet?
Well, it would be like 36 feet long by about 12 or 14 feet deep, something like that. Maybe
that's pretty good.
Yeah, something around that. So it's not super big, but it's not too small either. And I could actually make it deeper too if I wanted to, but I gotta see like what they take out of there, because right now when I looked at it, there's really nice workbench and cabinets on the bottom, and I don't know if they're going to leave that or not. I should have put that in the deal, but I didn't think of it at the time. So,
is it attached to the walls?
Yeah. Those
traditionally it should stay.
Well, right, but it's an outbuilding. Like, how does that really work? I don't know. We'll see what happens. So yeah, I'm looking forward to figuring out what kind of cabinets and everything. I'm going to look into what you got and see what else is on the market, but I want to go with that garage style, nice clean look. Cabinets and workbenches and everything.
Yeah. So what's in those rooms? Is it drywalled or is it plywood, or what's the wall situation?
Well, there's not rooms right now. It's just all open.
You said there's a loft, right? So they're just like a mezzanine, basically.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, okay.
So it's all got tin on the inside because there's insulation between the outside tin and inside tin, and the roof is tinned. And so when I enclose that, I'll enclose it with. I'm not going to mess with drywall. I'm going to do some kind of paneling, or I'll do tin, or I did drywall on my current shop, and I'm not going to do that again. It's just so much work for something that doesn't really matter.
I did just OSB on the inside of my garage and just painted it.
Yeah, and I might just do that. So, we'll see.
So how is it cooled right now? You said it was cooled.
Well, it just has a window unit right now. So, but if I close those off, then I'll have. So here's a thought: the heating and air in the house is about 20 years old. It still works, but my thought is to get a high efficiency HVAC for the house, and then to move what's in the house out to the shop, so that it's got a traditional thermostat controlled HVAC out there. That's
just like a forced air unit, just like a regular traditional gas.
Right. Propane, yeah.
Yeah, I say propane because you're too far out for gas delivery, I would assume.
Yeah. That's for sure.
Oh, that's cool. Well, that sounds good. Yeah, I guess. So, how big do you have to have your shipping area?
Well, not very big, because currently it's. I need it bigger than it is currently, but so the actual shipping area not gigantic, because I can have all the inventory and overflow in the bigger area, and because I like to set up the shipping so that I just have pretty small bins to grab from, so I don't have to walk a long ways. So ideally, I get all set. Well, especially now that I got rid of T-shirts and stuff, I can set it all up with a small, even smaller bin setup than I currently have it, and have it where I can just boom, 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 grab stuff really quick, and then replenish it like once a week with inventory that's in the larger area.
That makes sense. So like the size of a 1-car garage, basically, something like that.
No, I would need a 2-car size.
2-car.
Well, the actual shipping, somewhere in between that, I would say, yeah.
That's not bad. Does UPS and all them even go out to the boonies out there with you?
They better.
You didn't check that, did you?
Well, I ship almost exclusively the post office. I do ship some FedEx, but I figured, it's so rare that I ship FedEx or or UPS that I can just go run it if I have to. So that's not really a huge deal.
Okay, cool. Is it on a paved road?
No, and so here's the deal. I'm like, I almost rented a sports car because I was on the back end of spring break, so the car rental places are just overflowing with all these cars, and they had their sports cars up for a deal. Like you could rent them for like the cost of a compact. I was like, but like I really had in my head that no, I really want a pickup truck. I want to embrace the Western lifestyle and drive out in a pickup truck. And so I actually did. It was actually a brand new F-150. It was like 3 weeks old. So I broke that sucker in. I might have chipped the windshield. Don't tell Enterprise. But it was very good. I got a 4x4 pickup because I nearly got stuck in one house I looked at that just in the driveway. It was so wet out there in the gravel roads and driveway. Oh, and I almost got stuck the first night out because I went down this back road to look at this other house. And it's like I get down here and it's like there's a place where there's like a dip and there's signs for it. But then it's like all washed out, like all of it. So I had to throw it in four-wheel drive to get through there. And then I turned onto another side road, just a regular gravel road. But it's so wet that you're sinking in like up to the top of the where the rubber meets the rim of the tire. And you're just like chugging along. I'm like, there's no way I would have made it through any of this in a car.
So you're going to almost have to sell your minivan at this point.
I know. I told my wife, I'm like, yeah, the minivan's just not going to cut it out there.
And this is in the spring. What happens when it's like snow and nobody's plowed yet? Or what?
Right.
Man, you live in a subdivision right now. Oh man, what's going to happen? Oh, this is going to be interesting.
We'll see. I mean, I grew up, in the country, so.
Yeah, but your driveway was in like 3-4 car lengths from the road, like on a paved road. Yep. Now you're going to be, how far is your driveway from the garage to the road?
Almost half a mile.
Oh my God. Are you prepared? You're getting older. Are you going to be prepared for this?
I've got 5 kids. I mean, I got shovels.
Well, thank God you work from home, so you don't have to leave on a certain schedule.
Yeah, I still got to plow out for the mailman, but yeah, so.
Well, it'll be an adventure for sure. You should almost make like a blog series or something of your adventures in South Dakota.
It is an adventure for sure. No, I'm excited. It's going to be fun. So I guess, you guys can email me at jake@patriotpatch.co if you got ideas for setting up a gun room or traveling with guns, any feedback, stuff like that. I don't know, final thoughts, Zach, on any of this?
No, I think it's exciting. I think it's a whole new chapter for you and your family, and it'll be very, very interesting. You've lived there a very long time, and it's a whole new ball game coming up.
That's for sure. No, I'm looking forward to it. Excited we found a pretty good place because, this is like not the greatest time of year to look. I mean, stuff's going to be flooding the market here in the next couple of weeks, but we're at like on the end of winter, so there like wasn't that many options, but I think we found a really good one, so I'm thankful.
If you felt right when you went there, then yeah, that's all that matters. The one thing I was going to ask is, what is the suppressors and all that kind of laws in South Dakota? I would assume you can get them, right?
Oh yeah. Okay. For both shooting and hunting, you can have suppressors. So
well, then I think you should buy one of those as soon as you possibly can, because it took 10 months for my paperwork to come back on this 223 can I just got.
Oh, I know. It's just insane from what I've been seeing. Yeah, no, I definitely want to. I guess that's something we can talk about in a future episode. Like, what should I suppress first?
Yeah. And then the second question I had is, has your wife seen this house yet in person?
No.
She let you buy a house for multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars without seeing it?
Of course, she trusts me.
Oh, she's crazy. Wow. Okay, well. I just hope she feels as good about it as you do when she gets there.
Me too.
Are you going to go visit it between now and closing?
No, she's going to see it.
Oh, this is an adventure. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, this is going to be good. So, how's the divorce sale going to go? Like,
shush.
You might be more of a gun room. It might be a gun room and a bedroom and a kitchen and a bathroom in there.
Hey, I've got the greatest marriage saver in this whole thing is I won't be working out of the house like at all anymore. So that's going to make a huge difference.
Okay. I hope so. For your sake as well as hers.
You're terrible. Patriot Patch Company helps make this episode possible. Check out the Patch of the Month Club, and we also have a bunch of brand new World War II historical patches, including like the P-51 Mustang and the Spitfire, a couple planes, and we're adding some guns from Russia and some guns from Germany. So we started out with the Tools of Freedom, where we had different guns, and we added some of those too, where you got the BAR and stuff like that. But we also added Tools of Communism, where you have the Mosin, the Gant, and Tools of Fascism, where you have I lost it. We have a few Nazi guns too as well. Have the Tools of Freedom, have the Sten Mark III. I lost all my patches. I can't find them. Anyways, check it out, patriotpatch.co. And check out, Zach, you got, your YouTube link and your Facebook writer page?
Yeah, I just put up a video last weekend, of testing these 1022 triggers scientifically with a trigger scan machine. So I don't care what people think about feel and all these subjective things. If you want to see what they actually pull on a real machine with your over travel and everything in there, check it out. I did, I think, 4 or 6 triggers on there. So take a look.
Very cool. Links to those in the show notes. And Ryan Cross, Hunter of Design. Ryan Cross creates all the awesome artwork for Patriot Patch Company and a lot of the artwork for the Firearms Radio Network as well. If you need any kind of artwork for your business or blog or anything like that, he does websites. Check out hunterofdesign.com. Well, that about wraps us up. You can remember to subscribe to us on iTunes and leave us a review there. Don't forget to check out all the other awesome shows here on the Firearms Radio Network. Thank you, Zach.
All right. See you next time.
And we'll see you next week. Actually, I think we're doing 2 weeks in a row. Holy cow.
Yeah.
And then by mail after that. Cassettes, 8 tracks, vinyl.
This has been a production of the Firearms Radio Network. You can find more information at firearmsradio.tv.